Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video. Today we'll discuss Autodesk Forma, the new industry cloud that will unify workflows across teams that design, build, and operate built environments. Our industry is undergoing big disruptions, but we can look at this as tomorrow's transformation. What can the architecture, engineering, construction, and operations industry as a whole change and evolve so our skills are at a higher level, we can collaborate better, and we can make use of all that data scattered around different applications, maybe paper-based and otherwise. In this channel, we've talked a lot about authoring tools like Revit, like AutoCAD, like Civil 3D and others. And we've also talked about how we collaborate with Autodesk Construction Cloud when it comes to docs for document management, BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro for design management, and with Autodesk Build for the construction part of things, like photos, capturing issues, and tackling different data points that we need to operate appropriately in our industry. But what if we think about the beginning of a project, that early planning stage where we need to gather different stakeholders and exchange ideas on the different proposals we want to build for a project? Well, let me tell you, part of that disruption that we are living now, besides the technological applications and how our day-to-day operations are changing, we also have sustainability issues to tackle. And I'm sure that new projects will think more and more how we can leverage both natural resources and generate less impact with our construction projects. So part of this will use different types of analysis, data-driven analysis, like, let's say, solar analysis, hours of daylight, shadows, wind, etc. And this is where something as powerful as Autodesk Forma, and even this is early stages, we can already see the idea and many things can be developed on top. So let's take a look at what exactly Autodesk Forma is and how it looks like. If we go to the site, because this is a cloud, industry cloud, you don't need to install anything. It's just a website where you access from a browser and log in with your username and password, as you would do with your other Autodesk products. Now, for those of us who are familiar with Autodesk Construction Cloud, we know that concept of hubs, right? So in Autodesk Construction Cloud, you have different hubs that could be the companies, and then inside of each company, they have their own projects. So maybe there is a construction company with their own hub, and they have projects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is an owner, there is a consultant also with their own projects. But thanks to some of the capabilities like Bridge, they can now share information between those different hubs. Well, thinking of that concept of hub, in Forma, because it's also a cloud application, we also have our own hub. In this case, it's called Accienta, and here we have our different projects. Now, when we enter, we'll be able to see the home screen. We also have our projects and our members. Once we add members and create certain projects, we'll start to see more information, but always know that the most useful resources are at hand. So you can access the blog from here, the community forum, the YouTube channel. And if you click on the help button, you can also see what's new, again, the community or the help center. I recommend you take a look at the help center because that's where I started, and it really helps in terms of how to set up a new project, what are these analyses that you can do in Autodesk Forma, some of the use cases, etc. So definitely take a look at that. And of course, you can always contact support from here. It's really dynamic. Again, for those of you who are familiar with Autodesk Construction Cloud, you'll know that now help in cloud applications for Autodesk is quite dynamic. You can either type a message, they can reply, create cases, or search for commonly asked questions and get information quickly from here. You can also see news from here, your private messages, your tasks, anything that is needed. Now, if we're starting from scratch and you really say, okay, I opened Forma, but I still don't know what to do, there's other help elements from within the platform, like this tour that you can take to understand what the data points look like and data inputs that are available in Forma, or you can open these checklists to understand what are the general steps to enrich an existing project. So of course you have to create or open a project to start with. You could import other files like IFC or OBJ and etc. So these are the steps that are recommended. You can also just click and learn that way. It's also great. I recommend both of them, but without further ado, I'm just going to open the project I created recently and show you some of the key features inside the platform. So as you can see, this project is an existing project in which I already have 2 proposals created. And of course you can have many more proposals and run those analyses that I was talking about, like solar, like wind, etc., microclimate in your different proposals, and compare analysis to other or proposal to other side by side, which is quite interesting. And that's where you start to see the power of Autodesk Forma. Of course, like other applications, you have a viewer, you can rotate and pan your model. You have the 2D or the 3D view, and you have different types of terrains that you can observe. If you want transparent, contour, map, or satellite, which will take the satellite images for the location that you selected for your project. It takes a bit of time, but then it's fine, so it looks much more realistic with the satellite image. So it all depends what you want to do. If it's for some images that of course you can capture from here and you can export them into your computer, or you can also save certain views from here. You can always turn on and off the different elements and have many more applications from here. So this is our proposal number 2 and this is our proposal number 1. The zone delimited for this project is the same. I simply duplicated the proposal and made a few changes on the buildings. But of course you could create different proposals based on what you need. We have different layers, as you can see here. So the site limit is what I defined for all the analysis. You can see it's like a triangle around the area, but you can define it in a different way. We have the buildings, we have the vegetation elements, and under generic you can have other free 3D sketch that you can do or models that you import, and the terrain. And of course you can create a base which would be used in different proposals if you need. That's also possible. Then what are the sketching elements, or what type of elements I can bring or create directly in Autodesk Forma? For now we have things like line building, basic building. With this basic building functionality I created these basic buildings. There is a tree line or area with trees like these ones. You can do the site limits, zones, or even constraints. You can add roads and railroads, volume, surface, line, 3D sketch. So this 3D sketch is a bit of free 3D sketch, let's say. That's where I developed these different designs that are a bit out of the common building design. And then again, we can add things like use cases, like if it's a parking, or in the case of buildings, like each floor plan has a different function. Everything that is yellow is residential in this case, or commercial, but you could also use other things, how many levels we have for that building. So some rough estimates in very few clicks. And with that, the system is automatically going to generate certain calculations, like the areas based on those use cases for the buildings. And then of course we have other things. So this one is called area metrics, but we also have sun hours, daylight potential, wind, microclimate, and now in beta operational energy and noise. Of course, you can always go back and take a look at this, or filter based on certain parameters as you need, create more. Now, in this test project, if you want to know what exactly Autodesk Forma is using to generate these models, well, that's where you have in your library the different data that you have either imported or added directly from Autodesk Forma. In this case, I have two inputs, which is this terrain. You can use a flat terrain or you can use the Aster GDEM terrain, which are free for my geography. But again, when you add your project location, it will show you the data sources that are available for that location. For this test project, because I'm in Dubai, I'm using the pound because it's a famous place to do test projects in. But you can see that the sources, for example, for buildings, it's using OpenStreetMap. Then for roads, it's using OpenStreetMap as well. For those of you familiar with InfraWorks, in the past maybe you've seen that you use some sources like this, but there can be more in your specific location if you are in another country, so take a look at it. And if it's for free, it will say it's free. You can just download that data and use it directly in your project. I mean, not download, but use it directly in your test project. And now if you want to bring assets from other platforms or your own models, you can import mesh with OBJ and IFC, 2D vectors with DXF files, and images with JPEG and PNG. There's a maximum size of 100 megabytes, but besides that, you have these other options for data. So that's it for the data. Besides that, we've added a few buildings here, a few parking spaces, and vegetation as well to test some of these analyses. Now, something that I found very interesting is this extensions concept. So if we get this help and click H to know more, again, those of you that are familiar with, let's say, Autodesk Construction Cloud, you may have heard about Autodesk Platform Services, previously known as Forge, where you can develop via APIs other integrations with either other tools or your own solutions for specific use cases of data that needs to be pushed or pulled from Construction Cloud, right? So with Autodesk Forma, there is this concept of extensions, which means that you can use third-party extensions that do extra things than what we have right now in Forma. And this is very interesting because then many ideas can be developed on top of the cloud platform, and this will generate a faster development of functionality that you may need to use for your particular use case, right? So you just click Add Extension, and then you will see again what is available as an extension, and it will be installed by a project basis. So if you need to use it in different projects, you will install it each time, and you can again remove it as well. But just the concept itself is interesting. So if I go here, for example, to add extension, these are the two that exist right now, Shape Diver and Test Fit for my location. You can see more details or add it as well. Last but not least, on this side, we have the project members, which again, you have two options to make projects invite only, which means even if you have more members in your hub, only those invited to this project will be able to either view, edit, or change permissions in your project. So you can toggle this on and off. If you turn it off, it means that all your hub members can view and join this project. And in the last tab, we have the compare option, in which you can select to compare two items from your same proposal or the same analysis for two different proposals. So in this case, we can come here and we have proposal 1 and proposal 2. So let's say that we want to compare the sun hours analysis from proposal 1 with the sun hours analysis of proposal 2. Now the system is smart in the sense it will line both of the proposals. When you move them, any change, it will be applying to both at the same time. So you can clearly see the results. Now we have this inspect tool. You can select a specific location and compare, in this case, because it's sun hours analysis, the hours of sun that are hitting in a specific point in your project. So we can see that in some areas it's the same, in others it varies. So depending on your project and what you need to analyze, that's there. Now, of course, here we have different dates, but probably you would do it for the same date, right? For your analysis. Now, what else can we compare? Well, we have a wind analysis here, so maybe we can compare our wind analysis with this other wind analysis and do the same. These are the different categories for the wind. So everything that is on green, it's okay. When it gets to red or orange is not that good, and yellow is intermediate, so we can start to see that there may be a wind tunnel effect in some areas of our model and see what are the different changes for that. Now, there are different types of analysis, so let's go back to our main proposals. And here we'll see the different type of analysis that we run. For example, there is the sun hours. You can select a specific date here and run it on that date, as we saw, or just open an existing analysis from here. And you can do the same inspection as we did before. You can also extract images at any point of time for your different analyses, for using as something you want to show the client. There's the daylight potential analysis. Of course, when you are running this analysis, besides the location, what is important in the system is that area that you defined. In this case, it's called site limit 8D8, but you can call it something else or create different zones also according to the analysis you want to run. Now, for the wind analysis, there are different types of analysis. There is one that is more with the comfort, the one we saw previously, and there is one about the direction. And this is more detailed in terms of the wind direction. So any area that's larger, it means that there are more chances of the wind, in this case, to come from the west than we would have from other directions. So this is quite useful to understand when we have different shapes of buildings, how we want to direct those shapes for all those effects with the wind. So this you can also do here. You can do a rapid analysis or a more detailed analysis. And this is an option for some of these analyses available here. Now, always we can go to the help and click learn more to search more information, because even for me, I was very curious when I saw these different types of wind analysis. When should you run one? When should you run the other? And what are those use cases? But as I mentioned before, probably with all the sustainability metrics, this will start to be more and more important. So let's take a look at the difference between rapid wind analysis and a detailed wind analysis. So the rapid wind analysis, it's aimed at providing guidance while you design. It runs instantly and it can give you wind simulation results for how the wind conditions change based on your design. Okay, so we are testing different designs, maybe rotating the buildings, changing the shape, and we need quick predictions on that. But the detailed wind analysis gives you detailed results on how the wind conditions will be for the project. So the output can actually be in documentation to understand how different design choices impact your site's wind conditions for different wind directions and speeds. Okay, so it's also an input for our microclimate analysis. Now, in terms of the technology, detail level, output, and when to use it, I think this chart is just what made it clear for me, especially the use cases. So you would use the rapid wind analysis while actively designing, and the detailed wind analysis for documentation and final results. It's very interesting to see that some of the analyses, including the wind design, are using CFD or computational fluid analysis. Those of you that are familiar with this know that this kind of analysis can be quite complex, so it's really impressive that a tool like Forma is already including this in the detailed wind analysis. And for the rapid wind, it's using AI or artificial intelligence, an AI model, which is called here surrogate prediction, trained on simulation results from the detailed wind analysis. So this is where it starts to become something like we've never seen before when it comes to software in the cloud for designing and using data sources for analysis. So check it out and let me know what you think. We have other things like this microclimate. Which if we run it, it's again telling us more or less the feel for the people that would be in the project, because sometimes it's not the same designing just the shapes than understanding how all those different factors affect our project, right? So this is what it's really interesting, and we can see that anyone here in the center would be very hot, and closer to these other colors, lighter colors, temperature sensation is a bit better. So maybe we can mitigate this with a different design of the corridor. Maybe we can add more vegetation here that we don't have vegetation and things like that. So proposals get really interesting, idea sharing, and of course showing an image like this to your client could bring new ideas and make a concept just easier to understand from that perspective. Then again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another video. I hope this is useful for you and you want to learn more about Forma. Forma is included in the AEC Collection, so if you're already subscribed to that, you can check it out. And another interesting part before we finish the video, remember that if you go to a proposal, you can always rename, duplicate, and all those things, but there is also a Revit add-in that you can download and explore certain workflows with Revit as well. So this is getting very interesting when it comes to connection with other tools and how we can start to integrate that data. But I hope you play around with Autodesk Forma and let me know what you think about it and any ideas for the future. Thanks for watching.